there, it's Heidi Sawyer. I'm going to give you a little bit of an explanation as to what mediumship is. Now, mediumship is specifically talking to those who have passed over. So people who are no longer on the physical plane, they're no longer in the physical world. Now, mediumship is specifically talking to those people rather than the experience of any kind of psychic information, which is perhaps picking up on aspects of the future, okay, the past, present, future. Now, mediumship is directly talking to those who have passed over. How that happens is through an area called the astral plane. Now, the astral plane is a manifestation of emotion, okay? So what the astral plane is a meeting point for those who have passed, the energy of those who have passed over and the energy of those who are living, okay? So when those two meet, those two energies meet, they meet on the area of which is called the astral plane. Now, for some people in the early stages of mediumship, how that works is they may meet a loved one who's passed recently or quite a long time before. They will meet them in a sleep state, okay? So you meet them in a sleep state in terms of meeting them on the astral plane, which is an area of which we go to, when we go to sleep, we go into. It's kind of the dream state world, okay? So when you've had a very strong, vivid dream of a loved one who's passed over and you've had a conversation with them, is that your imagination? Most likely it isn't. Most likely it is an actual conversation that's taken place. But because your energy is not prepared yet, it's not ready to be able to receive that energy in a waking state, it has been during your sleep state. Now, what mediumship means is that you're developing the ability to be able to access areas of the astral plane in terms of that meeting point in a waking state. Now, for some people, mediumship is something that opens up naturally. It's something that they're very drawn towards, and that is especially so for clairaudient types. That's people who hear information. Now, the hearing information is not an external voice, okay? It's not an external voice telling you what to do or anything like that. What it is, it's your own internal voice, but it's a very quiet voice, okay? It's not that very loud voice that's up front, that's part of your everyday world. It's a very quiet voice. So how that works in terms of the quality of the information that's passed on, it depends on the person who's channeling that information rather than the spirit that's trying to have a level of communication with you. Okay, it's dependent on the person, not the spirit. So if a person's psyche is not developed enough to be able to interpret the information, then it will come through as very vague and somewhat jumbled. Okay, so it's fairly kind of hit and miss, sort of a little bit random in terms of the interpretation. As you learn though, what you will find is that information becomes clearer, it becomes more concise, especially as you work through your internal world. Now, one of the key areas to develop mediumship has to be the quietening of the internal world. Now, the reason for that is so that you can hear properly. If you've got a really loud internal world, so let's say you've got a party going on in your head, it's very difficult for you to be able to hear that level of communication. What you're looking for is a library, okay? So you need a library in your head so that when you receive any kind of communication, it's easy for that to come through because you can hear, you can distinguish your own thoughts and your own feelings and your own emotions from something else that's filtering through. Now, this is very much on the basis of you not being frightened of it. It's important that you're not frightened of it, because anything that comes through in terms of telling you to do something unsavoury, telling you that things are bad or anything like that is not mediumship, okay? That's not mediumship. That's not how that works. That will be a level of your unconscious world trying to have a communication with your conscious world. Maybe it's to do with deep unresolved emotions and things like that. That's not mediumship, okay? True mediumship will be along the levels of a pleasant interaction and one that is quite clear. Okay, it's quite clear, it's quite concise. It doesn't happen all the time. Mediumship isn't something that you should expect to go out and about and all in sundry who's passed over wants to have a chat. That may happen in the early instances, be simply because you haven't harnessed the skill enough. It's a bit like, let's say, all these people getting excited about the fact that you're a link to the physical world. So in the early stages it can be something that happens a lot for you, and then in learning how to harness it becomes something that is manageable and something that you can also get to settle down. Now, if mediumship isn't your primary skill area, but it is an area that you want to develop, that can develop as time moves forward, especially as you go through your particular primary skill areas. You will then find that the mediumship begins to develop. If you haven't gone through your primary skill areas first, you will then find that the mediumship aspect is very slow, it's very jumbled, and it's very haphazard, and it's not very accurate. Okay, so if you want to understand mediumship a little bit more, in fact there's plenty more to understand as far as mediumship is concerned, and also some of the things to look out for and some of the things that you need to be aware of in terms of what's uncomfortable, what's dangerous, and what shouldn't be done. I've created a further explanation to be able to understand that particular skill in terms of mediumship, but also your other skills. But in order for me to be able to give it to you, I'm sorry, you're going to need to fill in your details again. I can't send it to you unless you do fill in your details, because it has to be something that you've asked for rather than us just sending it to you. Okay, it's very detailed information, it's comprehensive, it's free, it's not something that you have to pay for. So pop in your details and I will instantly send you 6 Psychic Secrets, and most certainly the ebook, which will be very important to you as far as your own psychic skills are concerned, and especially around the area of mediumship. So I look forward to speaking to you soon.